I am going to check out some Borderlands 4. I don't give a fuck about like the controversy and what they say. What I give a fuck about is how the gameplay is going to be, how the writing's going to be, and what the price is going to be. Because I'm going to say up front, if this shit is $80, I'm not getting Borderlands 4. I'm just not.
Action-packed gunplay.
Oh, but sorry. Yeah, apparently IGN got to play Borderlands 4, so we're going to see what IGN thinks about it. They called it Borderlands 4 sets its sights on reclaiming the looter-shooter throne. We're going to see what they all about.
An innumerable quantity of badass guns to loot, and some of the most crass humor in gaming, the Borderlands games have held a...
Yeah, but what does IGN think what crass humor is? What is crass humor to IGN?
special place in my heart since way back in 2009.
Okay, that's good. You played it.
But
That's good.
It's also a series that practically invented the looter-shooter genre.
True.
Then saw itself fall behind the curve as a renaissance of RPG-infused
Wait, did he say they fell behind the curve?
looter-shooter genre, then saw itself fall behind the curve as a renaissance of RPG-infused multiplayer shooters dominated the space.
No, that's fair.
With Borderlands 4,
I'm glad he
the team
mentioned
at
that.
Gearbox seems eager to take some big swings in hope of reclaiming the throne of...
Just this one area I'm not a big fan of for like are they trying to mute some of the colors for Borderlands, or is it just like this one little area, this one little cloudy spot?
Firearms and shell casings
because the last
themselves built.
I might be tripping.
And whether
The
it's
last
the
area looked
greatly
colorful as
improved
fuck.
shooting mechanics, an interesting revamp to RPG mechanics, an entirely
Revamped RPG mechanics. Is that where, because I did watch the original Borderlands 4 trailer, is he talking about them changing the mods on the weapons so that you have like a base for a weapon type, and then you have weapon accessories that are from different manufacturers? I don't know.
fresh setting, a slew of new characters.
Then we
or
got
a
the
more
Final
grounded
Fantasy
tone
VII
in its
character.
story, the handful of hours I played left me fairly confident that I will find myself pulled back into this wonderful...
He's fairly confident. Fairly confident is not very fairly convincing. Rush, he absolutely has you. Oh, okay. I see what he's saying. Like, it's like, I got you, bro. Like that kind of shit. They should have put got. He absolutely got you. Or like, he's absolutely got you. Something like that. He absolutely has you feels weird. He has me. I am his.
world of psychopaths and extremely irritating robots.
I'm gonna be extra harsh on this. I got a special place in my heart for some Borderlands.
There's a lot of novel things Borderlands 4 tries, but the first thing that immediately jumped out at me was the focus on movement. I counted no fewer than 5 additional ways to keep your Vault Hunter in motion while hunting for treasure and blasting wild animals, including double jumping, gliding through the air, dashing from side to side, pulling yourself around with a grappling hook, and even swimming, which is
Okay, so the grappling hook is probably going to be just the best way to move around. It's going to be the quickest. I never really had a problem moving around in Borderlands too much, but it also looks like they're changing the level design a lot to a much more open world design. They may still have, like, you know, their pockets of open world, but each of those places looks like they're going to be more open in of themselves. And I don't know. maybe they're going like a approach from any angle kind of vibe, or like he said, they're leaning a lot on the exploration and motion movement, all that kind of shit, how you're actually traversing the world. But I wonder how much of that is a consequence of the open world design being much more open, or did they design the world around the mechanics that they wanted to put in? Because, yeah, we'll see.
Especially great because dying every time one of my toes got wet was pretty annoying in the previous games.
Yeah.
Each of these traversal options added an interesting dimension to navigating arenas while sniping mercenaries and lobbing explosives in the faces of the local fauna. And also went a long way to speeding up how quickly I could close distance between me and the baddies in my path. That was a welcome change.
Is he just not running?
I found myself pretty frustrated.
Is that why it
how
feels so
slowly
slow?
I move in old Borderlands entries.
Okay, so he's saying that it does move faster in this one then. Because on screen it doesn't feel very fast. Maybe it'll feel faster once I slide that little field of view slider up, and everything rushing around the sides will actually create some faster motion and make it feel faster.
If there's
That's what I assume
worrisome
happens in my
about
head.
all these extra ways to get around, it's that there are so many of them I often forgot to use them. Being able to double jump, glide, and grapple hook across a room all in the same motion honestly feels like too much power, at least in the
But there's only going to be certain grappling points that you can actually connect to. You're not going to be able to just grapple onto anything, it looks like. Big L.
hands of a rookie like me who only had a few hours to familiarize myself with it all. By the end of the demo, though, I felt a lot better about my ability to keep myself in motion while bringing my arsenal to bear upon swarms of monsters. But it definitely feels like it'll take some getting used to.
Because, like, on that jump, he still kept his momentum forward. He ran into the wall. It wasn't perfect or anything. He used his glide to get off to the side, but it's not like he could just go up, stop, and go off to, like, it's not. It looks like it. It doesn't look like it's going to be janky, which is a bonus, big bonus.
Of course, it wouldn't be a Borderlands game without the promise of a bottomless cache of weapons to discover, each designed to inject a little anarchy into combat. While I only got a small sampling of what's in store,
did you get any like
weren't a ton
crazy
of
ones?
I wasn't expecting.
Wait.
To inject a little anarchy into combat. While I only got a small
He's got a visual glitch.
sampling of what's in
Look, he's got two characters inside this menu, and they're meshed together, but the gun animation of his like idle animation, the gun is doubling. Damn, equals bad game. That's crazy.
Store, there honestly weren't a ton of things I wasn't expecting, even with
he got
the
one
additional
purple
weapon manufacturers introducing some new stuff.
God damn it. So the weapons manufacturer is introducing new shit?
One of the new gun makers,
is it what I was already talked about?
Have a lot in common with the COV weapons from Borderlands 3, as they
The what weapons from Borderlands 3? COV?
have a lot in common with the COV weapons from Borderlands 3, as they need to spin up before they can be fired.
I played a lot of Borderlands 3.
Maybe
I'm just tripping. It's been too long. I don't remember that.
Daedalus reminded me a lot of the doll weapons that offer multiple ammo types to switch between.
Okay.
The only distinct new type I got to try out was called the Order, which have an alternate firing mode.
So like certain manufacturers will have certain modifications that will just randomly be put on weapons. And so you can have, what would it be, like a bandit gun and a Malawan mag and a doll stock and a Jacobs trigger and all this shit. You know, depending on the rarity of the weapon is what will determine how many mods are on it.
A pistol I found that could create gravity wells instead of shooting normal bullets. Most of what I played was from pretty early in the campaign. And I
Right.
only
They
found
wouldn't
a
want you to
single
spoil too
legendary
much.
weapon during my travels, so it's fairly likely there are more surprises
Show
ahead
show
of
us
the
it.
game, but at least on the surface, I wasn't too shocked with what I found in that regard.
Make room for the boom!
What seems significantly more distinct are the new build crafting options.
Okay, what do you
including
mean?
A healing item called a rep kit that can be used in addition to the usual pickups you find in chests and pick off the sorry corpses of your slain foes.
So, okay, they added the dedicated heal. Okay.
These add an interesting dimension to defining your build, as you could just play
Does
it
it?
safe and equip the item that offers the most healing with the shortest cooldown. But Boulder Vault hunters might instead favor one
What?
that intentionally offers lesser healing benefits to instead grant some other effect
Oh,
every
yeah.
time the item is used.
100%.
For example, I found one that caused a large explosion of cryo to explode around me whenever I used it, versus another that restored significantly more
Okay,
health
so yeah, it's just another ability slot that kind of also heals you too.
and could be used twice before it needed to be cooled down. Depending on how risky you want to play it or the specific
Yeah.
strategy behind your build, I could see this opening up a lot of doors.
And we'll
for
see what the
clever
legendaries
remaxers
do. I'm
to
sure they're
some
going to have
pretty fun
legendary
stuff.
versions of it.
Each Borderlands has a different
Oh, yep,
roster
you
of
got
vault
Raven.
hunters to play, and this entry is no different. I got the chance to try out Vex, the magical
Or
siren
Vex,
whose
yeah.
main focus, at least with my setup, was in summoning NPC companions to help me fight off mobs. And Rafa, a
I don't-
soldier who had a bunch of high-tech gadgets to unload onto anyone stupid enough to get in his way, including
Is that his ult? Is his ult going to be like Electric Baraka?
some melee blades that made short work of anyone within arm's reach,
All right.
or
I
some
mean,
shoulder
that's all right.
cannons that automatically
We'll see what we can actually build into that. We haven't been able to dive into the full skill tree at all.
helped me lather folks in lead. It's always hard to tell just how awesome each of these bona fide badasses is going to be after
Right.
just a few hours, but I was already very much heartened by the number of interesting options to pick from, and I already felt myself transforming into an arm-to-the-teeth instrument of death. Even
Yeah, but is he not allowed to like talk about the specific abilities that he used? Like where he's like, oh yeah, I put this down and it made this area of effect, and then anybody within it that got hit by this other attack does this, and then if I get a headshot while that happens, my gun does this. If he's affected by that, like, is he just not talking about those aspects of it? Is he just giving more of a vague overview?
as low level
He said he
as
only
I
got
was.
one legendary.
Also, some of the perks I saw on those trees
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We got some more from Blade Boy. I don't know who I want to be. I'm not gonna be Raven. Although I usually do play as the Siren in the game. I think I do usually play as the Siren, just because I want to be magic. Because there's the like Berserker dude, there's the Blade dude, there's the Raven dude, and then who's the other one? I'm blanking. Let's see what he does. This is like what his main little ability here. Arc knives. Oh, this one looks like he's got an arc gun. Rafa puts down his guns and equips his arc knives, blades that deal melee damage and mark enemies whenever they damage them. Oh. Wait. Blades that arc knives, blades that melee damage and mark enemies whenever they damage them. Whenever Mark... No, he's Rafa. Okay, so... Wait, this is confusing me. Hold on. Blades that deal melee damage and mark enemies whenever they damage them. Is Rafa a they them? Is that why this is so fucking confusing? Ugh! Okay. It's not it's not that serious. It's just annoying. Cuz that like genuinely confused the fuck out of me. I was like which group is they, and which is the they group of enemies attacking the they them enemies? The Venemies? And mark, yeah, okay. So your blades mark them. All right. Jesus Christ. Perform melee attacks with Robbie's arc knives. Dash forward. Unleash Blades of Fury. Beautiful movie, by the way.
Downright
Let's keep
spicy,
going.
like the ability.
Oh, the arc gun. Equip Rafa's Apophis Lance. It's a gun. An arm cannon that decreases Rafa's gun handling. Decreases? But allows him to fire piercing shock ordnance blast. Any unused charges when it ends converted into action skill cooldown. Okay. So could you just pop it up and end it, or do you gotta wait for it to end? And then everything's on, like... Because then you'd be waiting for the cooldown of that during the other cooldowns, or would you use the other abilities while you're in this mode, and then when this mode ends, they start cooling down faster? I don't know. Alright, let's see. Press LUT to fire a piercing shock ordnance. Okay, charge it up. Okay.
To disconnect Raven's shoulder-mounted turrets to convert them into a stationary battle station. So
oh, okay. And he's got the little Doom Skelly shoulder mounts. He's got those iron hearts. You know what I'm saying? The iconic and very well-known Iron Heart. It looks kind of like those little bloop, bloop. Or like what what's the dude from Mortal Kombat? The cyborg one. I think the yellow or the red one or whatever. Them. Anyways. Peacebreaker cannons fire at enemies in front of him for a duration. Okay, so it's just a mounted turret. Got it. That's going to be the simplest one. That's going to be like... That's going to be one of your just more casual builds. Just like set up the fucking turret, shoot the guys, go. Easy, done. This is what we worried about.
Borderlands 4 is the new.
I haven't heard a lot of the dialogue. They haven't really shown off a ton of that. But only going off their previous works, it might be mid.
Clearly darker setting and story. Taking place on a new world called Kairos, the world has been dominated by an oppressive, immortal being known as the Timekeeper, who controls
shit. It's Elon Musk. She puts a Neuralink in a mask and suctions it to your face.
Population using cybernetic implants.
Yep, exactly what I said.
The actions of the Vault Keepers in recent Borderlands entries, which I won't spoil here, has ruined the perfect.
Look at her haircut. She got the same haircut as the last villain, just with dreads, made out of a meth head's dream.
Here has ruined the perfect, unjust order on Kairos, throwing the place into chaos and opening the door for you and your friends to shoot everything
and she's
in the
like
face and score some sweet loot.
She's like a
the
wannabe
tone is pretty clear,
Doc Ock.
And even though you've still got the usual cheeky characters, sexual innuendos, and over-the-top gore,
that was the other character that I forgot about. The smart black chick. Bro, those glasses would get broke so quick. You should have some goggles. That would make more sense.
Characters, sexual innuendos, and over-the-top gore. There's also quite a bit of darkness and the beginnings of what seems to be a significant.
I'm not gonna lie, that does seem
darkness and
like a grittier design. I know the YouTube compression is absolutely off the fucking charts on this. Like it doesn't. I'm at 1080p, but it's fucking lying to me. I swear to God, it don't look 1080. It just don't. But no, he do look gritty. I like this style of design right here. Cause I mean, hey, the first Borderlands was like completely brown. All right, so just having this little green up here would be a lot for Borderlands 1.
The beginnings of what seems to be a significantly more grounded story in play, which will hopefully wash away some of the shallowness found in Borderlands 3, specifically.
Hopefully, bro. Wait. So is this dude talking and he goes, "Me look foolish in front of the timekeeper," fucking sounding like Kevin from The Office, looking like evil Kevin from The Office, like Kevin and Kingpin morphed together, Dragon Ball
Where the
fusion.
antagonists are concerned.
We'll see who's laughing when I unleash my secret weapon.
It's also worth noting the intentional shift away from Pandora to focus on this
Yep.
new world.
Well, I mean, how many? This is disgusting. How many of
This
the
combined-
Borderlands have been on Pandora? All of them? Have all of them been on Pandora? Because we went to the moon for the pre-sequel. And then because I'm pretty sure at the end of Borderlands 3, it opens up like a star chart, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's vaults on other planets." And at the end of what, 2, I think they open the chart and they're like, "Oh my God, there's more than one vault on the planet." Like, and then 3 is going to the other vaults. So yeah, they just keep expanding it. It's like the Dragon Ball thing where they're like, "There's 7 Dragon Balls. Oh my God, we found them all. Let's make a wish." They get scattered. "Oh my God, we found them all. Let's make a wish." It just gets bigger and bigger.
With the fact that a lot of the cast is entirely new, at least in the sections I played,
Right.
makes things feel a bit like a soft reboot that gives a fresh start to tell new stories.
That's concerning, but we'll see.
Compared to prior games that have mostly leaned pretty heavily on the locations and characters
Right.
established in their predecessors. I'm all for this shift, honestly, because although Borderlands
And honestly, so am I. I'm completely okay with them going somewhere else and getting some like just drastically different environments in there. Being able to, I don't know, change the skybox. No, they did have some good designs, but like when you're confined to a planet, there's only so much you can do. And I'm gonna be honest, his horns look cool. Like he been hibernating inside a cave for so long, he's got stalactites. Like they woke this motherfucker up. See, that's actually really, really good enemy design. When you can look at him and you can just imagine what its life is like. Imagine what they be doing. Like he be laying still. He be laying the fuck still. He just woke up after like 100,000 years. I don't know. The stalactites aren't that big. Maybe not that long.
because although Borderlands was my addiction for years, it's also pretty clearly been on its back foot as a series, as the looter
he's speaking
shooter
truth.
space has both evolved and become more crowded, especially where its ongoing live service peers are concerned. To be clear, I don't want to see Borderlands chase the games as a service model and fundamentally change what it is, but it's nice to see that Gearbox seems willing to take some sizable risks in pursuit of evolving the
Hopefully,
series,
man.
because I
They
genuinely
need some
think it
risks.
needs to do so if it wants to keep the attention of longtime fans like myself. That's not to say there isn't a ton of good, old-fashioned goodness inside Borderlands 4. Quite the opposite.
Yeah, what are they gonna do for like longevity? Because I don't want them to pad out the gameplay with just an open world space. And because of the open world space, you gotta, change the design aspects of your enemies and your and your weapons and your play styles and all that shit. I mean, honestly, the biggest change when it comes to the changing the level design, the biggest change to the character is going to be that traversal that they talked about in the beginning. But again, I'll say it again, I don't know if they're changing the mechanics to fit the open world, or if they're changing the world to open to fit the mechanics.
I still spent ludicrous amounts of time dabbing on loads of enemies who shouted goodness inside Borderlands 4. Quite the opposite. I still spent ludicrous amounts of time dabbing on loads of enemies who shouted expletives at me after running out of darkened spawn points, watched colorful loot explode out of enemies like fireworks, and ran dog-like enemies over with my vehicle, which is now very awesomely available to be summoned anywhere on the map rather than having to be picked up at a designated spawn point. Thank God.
That's dope.
There are also perilous...
So it's just... I said this on my my first reaction to the Borderlands reveal and them going through some of this shit, and this part of them getting on the bike kind of cemented it in my head, but they took some cues from Destiny on that shit. They really did.
Spawn point. Thank God. There are also perilous vaults to be raided and massive badass bosses to take down in the name of loot, XP, and bragging rights.
If you say so.
I unfortunately can't show you today because of some unfortunate restrictions on what I'm allowed to showcase at this time.
Because that's not a badass boss fight, that's a guy floating.
The one boss I fought a number of times is perhaps the most mechanics-heavy and interesting enemy I've encountered in Borderlands. And if it's at all representative of the level of quality we can expect from Borderlands 4, then we're in for quite a treat. After
I mean, he's talking up that boss fight. How complicated have the boss fights really been in Borderlands? I don't think they've been all that crazy. I think maybe the last boss of Borderlands 3 was pretty decently, like, had some decent mechanics, but it was mostly just avoid the attack, whatever that attack is. Once you learn what it is, you can avoid it.
Several hours dipping my toes into what is sure to be a massive
shoot certain things
I'm much more
when they glow.
About Borderlands 4's odds of recapturing my affections
after
years apart.
That's my same worry.
Days when I'm allowed to show off some later game footage and a boss fight that I took down a number of times in an effort to grind out some unique weapons. Old habits die hard, I guess.
Are they gonna have weapons unique to the bosses? Because that would be dope.
What questions do you have about Borderlands 4?
I basically asked them all.
We'll do a follow-up video soon based on the questions you leave in the comments below.
Okay, all right. But yeah, Borderlands 4. What do you think it's gonna be? How do you think it's gonna be? Is it just gonna be some more Borderlands with more of an open style, more of a Destiny-ish thing going with it? You think they're actually going to be able to recapture what they had? Because I really think they're still scrounging that nostalgia. Or maybe they're showing they're trying to break away from nostalgia. Like he said, they got a whole new cast of characters. They're not really leaning on the Pandora side. They're gonna make their own little story that's happening right here, as opposed to being directly connected to the other ones. If that's what they're gonna do, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm sure that was a decision made after the backlash of the last game's story, bro. I'm sure that was a much easier decision to make. But nah. Let me know if you're gonna play it. Let me know if you even think Borderlands has a chance with all this other shit coming out, man. Games are dense right now. There's a lot to do, not enough time to do.